Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Knock On podcast, brought to you by Zero Tackle. Dan, what an eventful week of rugby league we have had on and off the field. You've narrowed it down for us. What do you got for us this week?
Let's get into the big news straight away, Terry. We've discussed it before. We're going to discuss it again because it is still huge news. David Fifita overlooked at every single opportunity by Billy Slater. I want to ask you a question, Terry. Is at this point it personal, or are you genuinely buying the fact that he just doesn't think Fifita's up to Origin?
I just think he's stubborn. I honestly just think he's stubborn, right? And he's been there, he's won it. He's won everything. He's won everything as a player. He's now won Origin as a coach at his first crack. The players love him, they buy into him, etc. Fifita didn't start the season well, but he's now turning around and saying, well, he didn't have a good preseason. Brother, that was 6 months ago. You know? Like, a lot has happened in 6 months. He's killing it. And if that's your excuse, what's your excuse for overlooking Beau Fermor, who could have done nothing else against the Sharks to solidify his spot, and yet you're picking Kurt Capewell and Felice Kaufusi. Like, Felice Kaufusi has looked dead for about 4 years. I think it's stubbornness. I honestly think it's stubbornness. You have a look on the flip side of Michael Maguire. Everyone was saying to Michael Maguire, probably should have picked Mitch Barnett for game 1 and 2. Come game 3, where it's a decider. He's like, yeah, you know what? Mitch Barnett's in.
As a Blue, I love this. As I said before, Origin 2 and Origin 1, I cannot believe Fifita's not there. When there was talk of dropping Jaden Sewer, I'm like, well, there's a pretty handy left-back rower available that can step right up named David Fifita, and he overlooked him. And to not even name Beau Fermor, who you were exceptionally high on, and I'm right there with you. He tore Cronulla to bits. To go with Capewell, who was okay in game 2, I suppose. I don't even think he was that okay. I thought he got outplayed. I know they all did, but he wasn't particularly helpful. And then to stick with Kaufusi, who I felt was only a band-aid in the first place. I don't know what he's doing. I think it's personal at this stage. As you said, he had a bad preseason. How long ago was that?
Two
Months.
of the forwards that we've named in Fifita and Fermor, Capewell and Kaufusi, 2 of the forwards are averaging 100 metres and busting more than 2 tackles a game, and 2 of them aren't. Guess which 2 aren't playing Origin?
Well, I would say the 2 that are. I straight up don't get it. As a Blue, I'm very, very happy because even if Fifita's in terrible form, which he wasn't in world-busting form, I would argue he's been very good, but against the Sharks, you still worry about him more than anyone else in that Titans outfit because it's David Fifita. He can do anything on any given day. And if you're at 10 all or 10-8 down in the last few minutes and they go left to either Capewell or Fifita, I know which one I'm, holding it in out back, overseeing running at the line, and who I'm thinking, oh, well, who cares? And it ain't Capewell making me clinch the backside because, well, I don't get it. I think if they lose this series from here, which I still don't think they'll do, but if they do, I think people will turn on Slater real quickly and say, hey, look, you had a pretty handy back row there, and you refused to pick him, either, as I'm saying, as a personal attack, or as you suggested, stubbornness. Either way, that ain't good. On the flip side, you mentioned before the Blues, two changes, one enforced, one, unenforced, let's be honest. Bradman Best is in at left centre, which I think is fantastic and the only choice. Mitch Barnett comes in for Haumole Olakau'atu, who I have to say was a little bit disappointing in Origin 1 and 2. Didn't play his normal role, though, so I'm going to cut him a bit of slack. What do you think of the Blues team?
I think the Mitch Barnett selection is chef's kiss. This guy started the season in the front row and was awesome. And he's been playing in the back row lately and has been just as awesome, which means he can play front row, play back row, he can play lock if you need him to. The other thing as well is it's game 3, it's going to be spiteful. You want Mitch Barnett out there. You want me, I'm not saying that Haumole Olakau'atu isn't an intimidating presence, but in terms of pure spite, Mitch Barnett is not going to hesitate to throw a punch at someone. We've seen him clock players off the ball for no reason. He's going to bash someone. I guarantee. And you know what? If the game's on the line, there's 4 minutes to go. Reece Walsh is tearing it up, but Queensland are down by 6. Oi, Mitch, go out there and make sure he can't walk for the next 6 minutes. Mitch Barnett's going to do it. He ain't going to care. He's going to cop 10% of his wages gone. This is a masterstroke. I genuinely love this selection from New South Wales. I think this is brilliant. The left centre position, I know Bradman Best is in good form. I still cannot believe that they didn't pick Matt Burton for that spot. Been in great form, has a huge boot on him, and has been an origin performer at left centre. I would have thought they would have gone down that option just as another creative outlet. But Bradman Best didn't let anyone down in Origin last year. He's not going to let anyone down this year. I'm just a bit shocked that Matt Burton has not played a game this year.
Yeah, he's in the extended squad. There was thinking that if Tommy Turbo hit the ground running, that he would come in. And I mean, you could be forgiven to picking Turbo on reputation, not on current form. He's one game back. You know, there's not much you can do about that. But, you know, the best ability is availability, as they say. So, you know, Turbo hasn't put his best foot forward because he just hasn't been out on the field. I think Bradman Best is an automatic selection at left centre. He's the former left centre of the competition across the past 2 weeks. I'm going to use that to qualify. If they name Matt Burton, you're not getting any arguments from me. I think he'll be 18th man. He's the perfect 18th man. Either or. You can't go wrong there. Glad they didn't pick Turbo with the greatest respects to what he's done previously. He's just not the Turbo he was, you know, before he was injured.
Sucks that Latrell's going to miss this game because this had Latrell masterclass all over it.
Well, if there was one player you didn't want to lose other than Mitch Moses, it's Latrell Mitchell. Unfortunately, the Blues cannot have nice things. In terms of Mitch Barnett, I absolutely love this. I thought he would have played Origin 2. Felt they missed a bit in the middle. Obviously, Origin 1's hard to judge too much on, given the send-off, the circumstances. But I'm really happy Barnett's in. I think Olakau'atu will be back. I think that edge spot should have been his from the start.
He will play, Olakau'atu will play 10 Origins in his life.
He's a freak. He just hasn't been used in his right position, which, you know, if you're going to pick 2 80-minute back rowers, you're not going to get another 80-minute back rower in there, are you? So I get it, and I'm really happy with the squad. I think Madge has done pretty much everything right after Origin 1, but I felt the team picked itself because there was a million injuries. I think he's put his best foot forward. Even if they go up there and lose, I think he's earned the right to stick it out for another year or two. Whereas, you know, Brad Fittler may have named Pangai Jr. on the back of 1.5 games back. And you can laugh, but can you be sure he wouldn't do it? Because I'm not. Now, unfortunately, this is going to hurt both of us, but the Prince of the Shire, the wet-haired Prince, Nicho Hynes, suffered a very severe injury a couple of days ago by the time this drops. It's come out, it's a broken leg and a syndesmosis injury. 8 weeks, which means he'll be back, a week or two before the finals. Mate, the Sharks done?
Mate, I'm the king of the injuries, and if he gets back from a broken leg and a syndesmosis tear in 8 weeks, they need to bottle his DNA and clone it and inject it into anyone with a broken leg ever. He ain't coming back this year. There's unless they're using broken leg in a term of a fractured ankle, then that's different. But if this is actually a broken with a syndesmosis, he ain't coming back. He ain't coming back.
As a Sharks fan, would you be happy with him putting his feet up to next year?
No, I'm not happy with our best player putting his feet up till next year. I wanted our best player to come out and find his form. That's what I wanted. I was really looking forward to him playing against the Tigers, having a bye, and hitting the back end of the season. Now we're going to see Trindle and Atkinson. We're going to see which one we're going to persevere with, which one's going to put their best foot forward to partner Nicho Hynes next year. And also it's going to give us a great shot as to, do we need to go to the market in 2025 for somebody to partner Nicho in 2026?
Other things that I've got here that I've seen thrown around by Sharks fans. This is a blessing in disguise. You want Nicho distraction out of there. Do you agree with that? I think I know the answer to this.
Nicho Hynes is going to be a distraction whether it's this year, next year, 2026, 2027. As long as he remains in the Shire, he's going to be in the headlines because he is a marquee player. Like him, love him, loathe him, he's one of the 10 best players in the competition on his day. At any given time, he's got a Daily M, he's played for Australia, he's played for New South Wales, he's won a premiership, albeit he didn't play a minute. That's the smartest premiership you'll ever see in history. He is going to be a distraction as long as we allow him to be a distraction. I've heard him say, we need to shut the noise out. We need to stop talking. We need to start doing. I was really hoping this week that we weren't going to get any headlines about Nicho Hynes, any podcasts featuring Nicho Hynes, any podcasts hosted by Nicho Hynes. We didn't get any of that until we got the headline saying he broke his leg.
Yeah, look, not ideal. Before I ask my final question, yeah, look, there's no way you can spin this to be a positive for mine, which is probably going to make this last question of mine, not matter a whole lot. I've heard some people say that Nicho being out is a good thing because it helps everyone else stop relying on Nicho Hynes. I'm hoping that is the positive we find out of this, but I'm going to answer this before I throw it to you. There's no positive here.
There's no positive in him being out. However, there is a positive for someone like Dan Atkinson to get more runs in the NRL. Because he's been pretty gross in New South Wales Cup, but he's been really, really handy for us in first grade. Like, even have a look at the Titans game. Didn't let anybody down. And he played on the wing, right? He won us a game single-handedly in Melbourne. Don't care anyone says. Dan Atkinson won that game 25-18. Dan Atkinson versus the Storm. He won that game. He was awesome against Brisbane. He was awesome against the Roosters. He's been really good. Like, he has been a super, super handy replacement for us. So we're going to get more opportunity for that. We're going to get more Trindle with the ball in the hand. And now I think that we're going to be a little less... Like, we don't have Nicho taking all the touches and Nicho doing everything. Hopefully we see a bit more Will Kennedy, and that way he can evolve himself into the game. We need 100% more from Blake Brayley, who didn't take a run in the first 65 minutes of the game on the weekend, didn't take one run against the Dolphins. We need more from our forwards. If ever there was a time where we need to give more ball to our centres and backs, it's now, because we don't have the creative player in there. We are going to see more of Trindle's boot, though, which is good.
Cronulla have to find positives out of this. Look, there is none. Let's be honest. You take Nicho Hynes out, the Sharks can't do anything come finals. And that's coming from one of the two biggest Sharks fans in the world. Nicho Hynes is the difference. He's the go-to. He's the reason we played finals the last 2 years. He's the reason we're relevant at the moment. And he had a lot to do with our early season form, When he came back in, we started looking real good. I hope Cronulla turn this into a positive. Like you said, everything you said and then some needs to come true. They need to stop relying on the blokes. He's not going to be there. I think for the season, if we don't play finals, well, he's definitely gone. I can't see him coming back for finals. It's just not the right time. But look, they have to find a positive here.
Yeah, look, if they turned around and said that week one of the finals he could come back, but Atkinson and Trindle were playing so good and we had a home final against Penrith, or we were fourth against Melbourne or third against Penrith, whatever, I would leave him out of that game and bring him back for the second week of the finals. If come round 27 he's fit and we're fighting for our finals life, I play him. Simple as that.
No. All circumstantial. We'll see how it goes, but sucks. Single week, the Parramatta coaching job is officially filled. Jason Ryles, who you and I both said from the start, it was him or no one. So a bit of, haha, told you so, don't get to do that very often. What are your thoughts? 4 years? I think they got the right man.
They got the right man. The thing about coaches is you can just sack them. You're not performing. See you later. I can't imagine that they've turned around and said, it's 4 years, $1 million a year because he's a rookie coach. It's probably a sliding up scale contract and he's got to hit significant milestones to get more money. I think it's the right decision. I don't know if it's the right decision by Parramatta. I don't know if it's the right move for Jason Ryles, if I'm honest. But from the get-go, we said if they weren't going external to Rugby League, it had to be the punt on Jason Ryles. Parramatta are the team that take the punt on these inexperienced coaches. They did it with Stephen Carney. They did it with Brad Arthur. They're doing it now with Jason Ryles. They didn't have any success with Carney. You can say that they had some success with Brad Arthur because they got to a grand final. They were a top 4 team. They've unearthed some super talented players. They've resurrected some careers and they've got some good young players coming through now. So Ryles steps into an okay job, but he steps into an okay job where there's now 30 years of failure or 38 years of failure, coming up to 40 years. The expectations are always high on Parramatta. They're always being talked up in the preseason as a team that should be there or thereabouts. Tough gig to walk into, but right man at the end.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This is a bloke who said no to the Dragons job, 12 months ago? In very similar positions. I made a joke that, the Dragons were third last when he turned them down. He's picked someone who's second last for Parramatta. Look, with the greatest respects to little brother and the Dragons, I think this role is tailor made for Jason Ryles. I think you get a bit of leeway too. I don't think if they perform if they don't go overly well next year, Evan O'Gara, a rookie coach, it's all sweet. Whereas if you threw a bloke in there with plenty of experience, he'd go, "Oh, what are you doing? You can't, no good," and you should pivot straight away. Ryles is a bloke that we've seen linked with every job, and he's largely been considered. There was Surround on Fitzgibbon, who were here and there. I can hear an argument for one or two, and then Jason Ryles was number 3. I thought he was hanging around for the Melbourne job by hook or crook, but every year Bellamy keeps extending to the point where it looks like Bellamy's just going to keep doing that for the next 10 years. Ryles has probably seen that opportunity. Hey, I'm going to go there and prove myself. There's no reason he couldn't just go to Melbourne when the job becomes available. Plus, I still think Billy Slater is going to coach Origin until that job comes. I think he and Cam Smith will look after the Storm for the next 20, 30 years, but whatever, that's there.
With Craig Bellamy sitting over the top of him.
Of course. So that's not going anywhere. I think Jason Ryles has made the right decision. That Parramatta roster is stacked. I know where they're sitting now makes that comment look pretty stupid, but I still maintain that bad coaching, injuries, and a few player positions and switches, you bring Lomax in and they're a top 8 side. I think Guthersen's got to go to the centres. You put Talangi at the back. I think it's a much better side next year. I think Jason Ryles made the right decision, and I 100% think Parramatta's made the decision. What I do want to question, though, is these people coming out and saying, it's all but confirmed that Josh Hannah is going to get a 1-year deal. They couldn't miss by more if they tried. They got the wrong bloke. They got the years wrong. We just got to let things play out, Terry.
People get leaked bad mail all the time. It's just whether you're going to be brave enough to put it out there. That's it. That's all you can
Congrats
say.
to the Eels. They finally made a good decision. From good news to bad news, Latrell Mitchell is injured. Not as bad as they first thought. He's facing 4 weeks. At least 4 weeks is the thing. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the Bunnies are done and they can't win enough games over the next 4 to 5 weeks to get Trell back and make that unlikely run for the finals. Am I taking a safe option? Because I think the Bunnies are a lot better than a few teams above them, despite a tough draw. But I think without Latrell, it's over.
It's tough without Latrell, just like Cronulla are going to find it tough without Nico Hynes. 4 to 5 weeks puts him right back against Cronulla. Funnily enough, that. Look, when you've got a foot injury like that in a and you're playing a sport that relies on you to run, you kind of want to avoid surgery. So if he has avoided surgery, it might be a little bit longer. A surgery would rule him out for the year. I think I think South Sydney will be sitting there hoping that they can pull a couple of results and ease him back without the surgery front. But yeah, two or three games. If they lose a couple in a row, or final starts getting further and further, and they start relying on what ifs and other teams to fall around them, then you probably just rule him out for the year and take the surgery route.
Oh, absolutely. If they go winless in the next month, there's no way you risk Latrell Mitchell. Yeah. That's just obvious. I think it's a real shame because I think we were going to see the comeback of all comebacks. Until Latrell got injured, I was going to sit here and say South are going to play in finals football, which given their start is just downright ridiculous. We saw Newcastle do it last year with the greatest respects, a team that doesn't really add up to what we've seen from South. But I unfortunately think Latrell's injury ends that, as fun as it may be. Now, another thing that lasted not long, Tommy Turbo's back to fullback. 1 week, was it really worth it? Or was that just, we got Kohler, he's playing all right, now he's injured, no, back to Turbo.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. They were pretty heaven sent on having Turbo play in the centres for the rest of the year just to see how it went, see if they can get some muscle into those hamstrings and some muscle memory to not snap. But Kohler goes down. You've still got unless Levi Hopewadi's injured, I would have persevered. I would have persevered with him in the centres and try and find another fullback. I know they're in the 8 now. They got to figure out what they got to do with it, but it's tough. I love a full flight Tom Turbo, but on the weekend, if that hamstring goes again, you and I are going to be on here going, what the hell were they doing? We've told you to play him in the centres all this time. If he has a blinder on, if he has a blinder and makes it through, you just don't know. With injuries like that, it's a what if. It's just it's a what if. Is it going to happen again? history says that it probably is going to go again. So if Kohler's only a 1 to 2 week injury, I don't know what it is. But yeah, what more can you do?
Kohler's out for the season, unfortunately. I believe it
there you
was
go.
an ACL or something. I'm with you, though. Why not just name Hopewadi there, who was killing it at fullback? I couldn't believe he didn't start at fullback this weekend. But look, they're a better team with Turmo getting involved, and obviously at fullback, that's where he will do. That's his position. It's what he's paid to do. I absolutely get it. 100%. If he gets injured in the next 2 weeks, everyone's going to say, "What are you doing, Harvard? You had him in the centres. That was your one." There's nothing that says he wouldn't get injured playing in the centres. This is all or nothing as far as I'm concerned. He's gone all in. Their best opportunity to go deep in the finals or even win the thing is Turbo being the player of the competition at fullback. I have no problems with it, but I've got to say that Hopewadi, he's named on the bench last week. I think he earned a crack at fullback, and I think Turbo, at least give him another 1 or 2 weeks to get back into it. This Origin football this week, who cares? Just toss a coin. This week doesn't really matter. The week after, though, that's when the real season begins. So I get it. I was a little bit shocked, I have to say. I thought there would be an easy switch back, but I guess we'll check this one in a couple of weeks. But lastly, Terry, Perth are back. It has been so long, and we heard so many diversions that, no, we're going to New Guinea. The Jets are coming, the Bears are coming, the Newtown Bears, the North Sydney Jets. It's Perth. It was always Perth, and I'm glad to hear it was finally made official. I suppose not yet, but it's going to be made official very soon. The Perth Bears went to Rugby League in a few years' time. 5 years too.
Yeah, look, I'm stoked that Perth are getting the team again. It's going to be a great time slot. 9 o'clock at night over here, we're going to get a game at 6 o'clock over there. That's awesome. Your Super Saturdays are going to be super duper Saturdays. Right call. I just don't like the Bears aspect of it. I don't like the Bears aspect of it. Just let North Sydney die. Let them play New South Wales Cup. Let them do whatever it is. But Perth needed their own identity, right? And it couldn't go back to being the Perth Reds. So find something else. Find something else. Go to the Perth Wildcats, the basketball team, the most successful sporting team in Australian history, and say, "Can we partner with you? Do something. Do something else." But to add the Bears into it and go, "Well, we're going to play one token game at North Sydney Oval," that's crap. Like, North Sydney Oval is a rundown Leichhardt across the water. I'm stoked that Perth's in. I just don't like that Perth weren't given their own identity.
I have a feeling they've said, you've got to take the Bears or you get nothing. Because I don't think if they could, I just don't see much positive in it. I get why. Devil's advocate, there's already an inbuilt fan base that they will hope will support the Bears from North Sydney. And, when Perth do play in Sydney, the North Sydney fans will come. I get it. I don't like it either. I saw a lot of North Sydney fans come out and say, "Oh, the Bears are back. This is the same club." It's not the same club.
No.
It's based in Perth. It's 4,000 kilometres that way. It's not. North Sydney as a team failed. They ceased to exist when the Northern Eagles merged and then went dead, and Manly emerged and the Jets went back to New South Wales Cup. The Bears went back to New South Wales Cup. It's the same with the Jets. I didn't like when they were linked either. Like the Perth Jets. Yet Newtown would still say New South Wales Cup and be linked to Cronulla, not the Perth Jets. Whatever. It's an ends to a means. I'm glad Perth are in because this is something you and I have been advocating for many years now. It was the only decision, and finally the smart decision has been made. I love it. Bears or not, couldn't care less.
Yeah,
Perth are in.
I think right call, and then the next two teams, don't even bother with a Papua New Guinea team. Get another New Zealand team in there. Adelaide, Melbourne, or another Queensland team. Then we're done. 20 teams, 2 conferences. Do whatever you need to do. Shalala. See you later.
I was going to say, it's looking like a 20-team comp. I just don't want them in before 2030, or else we're going to see, a few teams fall by the wayside. But whatever, it's great news, and we'll stick to that.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by the good people at Zero Tackle, your one-stop shop for all things rugby league, transfers, rumours, contract updates, the latest things that are happening, and of course we've got the best independent writers in rugby league, including my co-host Mr. Dan Nichols. And Dan, you have been stirring the pot. You want Graham Annesley gone. Shane Flanagan's doing a great job. The New South Wales Blues have done this. Queensland have done that. What do you got for us this week, mate?
Look, anyone that hasn't checked out the Graham Annesley rant, I'm not making any friends in NRL headquarters, and I straight up don't care anymore. I gave up working for Fox in NRL a long, long time ago. I'm happy right here on Zero Tackle. Check that out. It's a lot of fun. Surprisingly, about 99% of the people agree with me, and there is that 1%. You're going to get that, and that's fine. If everyone agrees with you, you don't have opinions that matter as far as I'm concerned. Look, Scott right now is working on a Vegas thing, which we'll break down on Rugby League Outlaws. He thinks they've overdone it. He thinks they got greedy with 4 games. More on that later. And look, there will be a boatload of Origin content coming up because this is a decider that suddenly feels like a decider. A couple of weeks ago, I've got to say, even though New South Wales won, it just felt like Queensland by how many? But Queensland have just given enough to make me believe to crush my heart again Wednesday week. So keep an eye out for that. But until then, mate, Nico's hurt.